tell us something that's new and interesting, Mark.
Okay, Transformers 1. So just to get everyone up to speed, in case you've missed this somewhere. So the Transformers franchise, which includes toys, comic books, video games, feature films, is apparently one of the highest grossing media franchises of EVs, more than $25 billion in revenue, which is why we have a new Transformers movie. If you are a regular listener, you will know that I was not a fan of the Michael Bay live action series, which started in 2007, basically took a kid's toy and turned it into a kind of pornified fest, with lots of kind of non-kid friendly shots of Megan Fox's bottom and references to cluster fruitcakes and jokes about statutory rape, because that's what Michael Bay finds funny. Anyway, after, I think it was 5 of those, Bay stepped away from the director's chair. Somebody else stepped in, and they immediately got better. And we got Bumblebee, which was altogether sort of less leering. But long before Bay did all that, the Transformers were an animated series on television, and then, of course, an animated feature film, 1986 Transformers movie, which famously, Simon, features the final performance by which screen legend?
I would say it's almost certainly...
Voice performance?
A voice performance from... Richard Harris.
Well done. Orson Welles. So Orson Welles, from Citizen Kane to Transformers, the movie, and consequently the movie ended up being the subject of much ridicule. And
don't forget Demek Double Century Sherry. Also did that.
Exactly. So anyway, the new movie is also an animation, albeit a computer-generated animation with a lot more sort of whiz-bang smash than the previous animations. Here's a bit of the trailer.
Where's Optimus Prime?
The filthy red and blue bot? Yeah. Gives off a corroded metallic stench.
Okay, corroded, that is too far.
Okay.
When 2 worlds divide, it get hard to survive. Transforming box in the sky.
You have the power to make your world better. But this fight is mine.
So, all that stuff. So, Bay still exec producing, but essentially back to closer to what we began with, which is animated feature. Voice cast includes Chris Hemsworth, Brian Tyree Henry, Scarlett Johansson, Steve Buscemi, Keegan-Michael Key, John Hamm, and Lawrence Fishburne as Alpha Trion, the last of these being the most important, because as with Megalopolis, the thing about Lawrence Fishburne is he sort of provides an oral link to the world of The Matrix, and actually there is a lot of Matrix in Transformers 1. It looks like The Matrix meets Speed Racer. And you remember that the Wachowskis' aesthetic was always effectively animation, but made live action, made flesh. And as animation has become more and more, in inverted commas, realistic, with the rise of CG, those two things have come closer and closer together. So the film is basically an origin story prequel. The planet of Cybertron has been robbed of its energy supplies, meaning that the cogless and therefore untransformable Transformers have to work down mines to dig out the power. And they are led by Sentinel Prime, who goes up onto the surface trying to find the lost power source. But then when 2 sort of plucky miners make their own way to the surface, they discover that all is not what it seems, and blah, 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 blah. So after Bumblebee, this is my second favorite Transformers movie. It's got lots of smashy, bashy action, satisfyingly crunchy, silly machine transformations. It's got a not very subtle, but hey, I'll take it anyway, message about power corrupting. And it's even got a couple of jokes that I actually laughed at out loud in a cinema. Wow. One of them I laughed at so loudly that another critic turned around and looked at me in something approaching dismay.
Did they go shush?
They didn't go shush. They just looked around and go, why is Kermode laughing at a Transformers hitting each other jokes? If you've got a kid who, wants eye-popping fairground attractions on screen and doesn't need it to resemble something that looks like it was published by Paul Raymond, then this is the movie for them. It's PG for mild violence, threat, and language. And I was very pleased to see that in the language thing, the BBFC actually point out it is implied that a robot is about to use a middle finger gesture, but this isn't seen. And when I saw that happen on screen, I thought, I wonder whether they cut that or whether that was how it was actually done. But that is a million miles away from the Michael Bay cluster stuff that they had in the other one. So it's basically like, yeah, you remember Transformers? They were kids' toys. Here's a film about that.
So, what's interesting about that and the fact you laughed out loud is that that kind of laugh is worth more than a laugh in another movie, because they must have worked very hard to overcome years and years of bayness to actually get to that point where you laughed out loud at a Transformers joke.
Yeah. And also, I laughed because immediately after the joke, there's a silence, and I laughed into the silence, it's always the thing that,
Is that like screaming into the void?
It's exactly like screaming into the void, yes.